You've probably heard the promise before, a model that delivers near 31B quality while only activating a fraction of the parameters. But here's the thing. The Gemma 26B A4B actually delivers on that promise, and when you pair it with the right quantization, you can get over 100 tokens per second on a single consumer GPU. That's real-time chat speed from a model that scores 88% on AIME 2026 math reasoning. Today we're looking at 3 configurations of Google DeepMind's Gemma 26B A4B, all running locally through llama.cpp. This is a mixture of experts model. 25 billion total parameters, but only 3.8 billion active per token. Think of it as 30 billion parameter knowledge with 4 billion parameter compute cost. We're testing the standard Unsloth dynamic I4 NL quant, the same quant with multi-token prediction turned on, and a Quantization-Aware Train variant using Q-Worst-Case-XL with MTP. The question is simple. How much speed can you squeeze out of the same model just by changing the quantization and enabling speculative decoding? All benchmarks ran on the same machine, a Ryzen 7 with an RTX 4070 Ti Super using llama.cpp at 96,000 tokens of context, flash attention on, and 8-bit quantized KV cache. Every layer fits on the GPU across all 3 configs, so there's no CPU offloading to muddy the comparison. Before the speed numbers, let's talk intelligence, because throughput doesn't matter if the output isn't good. All 3 variants share the same base model, so these scores apply regardless of quantization. Math reasoning is the standout. 88.3% on AIME 2026, essentially tied with the 31B dense version. General knowledge hits 82.6% on MMLU Pro. Coding comes in at 77% on LiveCode Bench, and multilingual performance is excellent at 86% on MMLU. Vision understanding is solid too at nearly 74% on MMU Pro. The clear weakness is long context retrieval, just 44% on MRCR at 128K tokens, a 22-point gap behind the 31B. The sliding window attention simply doesn't do needle in a haystack, as well as a dense architecture. On the hardest benchmarks, it shows the limits of 3.8 billion active parameters, but for the vast majority of real-world use, chat, coding, document Q&A, creative writing, you're getting near flagship quality from a model that fits on a single gaming GPU. Now performance. Starting with VRAM. The baseline iQ4 NL without MTP uses 12.3 gigabytes, impressively compact for a model storing 25 billion parameters. Enabling multi-token prediction adds the draft model and pushes it to 13.3 gigabytes. The Qt variant lands at 13.2 gigabytes, actually about 54 megabytes, less than the non-Qt MTP setup. All 3 fit comfortably within 16 gigs with room to spare for context. If you're on a 4080 or 5080, you're in great shape at 96K. Prompt processing speed is similar across all 3, averaging 900 to 1,000 tokens per second. The QAT variant is about 10% slower here, but when a 25,000 token prompt processes in roughly 12 seconds regardless of config, the differences just don't matter in practice. Prompt processing is a one-time cost per turn. The real story is response generation. The baseline averages about 60 tokens per second, usable roughly at reading speed. Enable MTP and you jump to 75 tokens per second, a 26% improvement. Behind the scenes, the draft model predicts up to 4 tokens at a time, while the main model verifies them in a single forward pass. But the standout is the QAT variant with MTP. It averages 102 tokens per second, a 70% speed up over baseline. On some prompts, it hits 139 tokens per second. Google trained these weights with simulated 4-bit precision from the start, so dequantization is inherently faster at inference time. There's a fascinating pattern in how speed changes with context length. On the baseline, it's relatively flat. You lose about 16% from short to very long prompts. But with MTP enabled, speed actually peaks at medium context around 2,500 tokens. The draft model needs enough context to make useful predictions. At 37 tokens, it's guessing blindly, and MTP gives 0 speedup. At a few thousand tokens, it has rich patterns to exploit. Then at very long contexts, KV cache overhead pulls speed back down. The QAT variant shows the same peak at medium pattern, just at much higher speeds throughout. One important note: on very short prompts under 40 tokens, MTP provides essentially no benefit. But for any conversation longer than a single sentence, it's an unambiguous win. So what's the bottom line? The optimal configuration is clear. Use the QAT variant with MTP enabled. You get a 70% generation speedup over baseline, comparable or slightly lower VRAM, and potentially better output quality thanks to Quantization-Aware Training. The only cost is about 1 GB of extra VRAM for the draft model. And on any card with 16 gigs or more, that's a trade you should make every time. For hardware, with 16 gigs, run the QAT variant at 96K context and cruise at roughly 100 tokens per second. With 24 gigs on a 4090 or 5090, push context to the full 256K. If you're on 12 gigs, the baseline at 12.3 gigs is tight. You might need IQ3 quants or a reduced context window. This model sets a new standard for what's possible on consumer hardware. Near 31B intelligence, 3.8 billion active parameters, and over 100 tokens per second, all on a single GPU. The combination of MOE efficiency, quantization-aware training, and built-in speculative decoding shows what happens when hardware-aware design meets smart inference engineering. If you're running this model yourself, try the QAT variant against the standard quant with the same prompt. The speed difference is immediately noticeable. Drop your numbers in the comments. I'd love to see what you're getting on your setup.